Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Andrew. Just so you know that this is probably going to be the only video I post this week, and it's not about religion, as you can probably see by the title. If I get chance later in the week that I am filming this, I always film my videos about a week in advance. I'll film more, but I wouldn't hold your breath. This week is just a crazy busy week for me. I've basically just I basically have a little bit of time here where I'm hoping to film this really quickly and then edit it really quickly and just get it up on YouTube ahead of time and schedule it for a release, because life is just crazy for me right now. I hope your week is not as hectic as mine. So the reason I am not doing religion this time and instead I'm talking about something else is because if you remember, and I'll put it in the little info bubble above, I did a story about how I felt that Tim Hortons should pay those $10,000 prepaid American Express cards to the people that they had told had won but actually hadn't won. There was a bit of a glitch in the software for Roll Up the Rim, and it was telling people that they had won a daily draw of a $10,000 prepaid American Express card, where in fact it was really that they had been added to that draw. As I said, I was critical of Tim Hortons in that, and I feel like if that's on you, that's a mistake on you. You should be paying those people that amount. A lot of people, by the way, just as an update to that story, a lot of people did accept their apology and $50 Tim's gift card as compensation for their mistake. At least one or two people haven't, and it looks like they may go to they may try to file a lawsuit against Tim Hortons. But this is a different lawsuit, and this has just happened recently. Now I'm going to start with the facts behind the lawsuit, and then I'm going to give my opinion near the end. So if you want to check your timestamps in my video, and if you know the facts of the case, if you know what the lawsuit is, you can just jump to my opinion later on. So Tim Hortons is being sued. I believe the specific store, the owner, and the group that owns Tim Hortons are being sued for $500,000 in damages. Basically what happened, a 73-year-old woman visited a Tim Hortons in Huntsville, Ontario, and bought a medium black tea and got two of those little milk containers on the side. And as she was adding those milk to the cup, the cup collapsed in on itself. That's according to what the lawsuit says. And again, according to the lawsuit, the superheated tea spilled on her stomach and leg, causing second-degree burns. I saw the pictures of the burns, and they are not nice. It's horrible. I think it's been at least 6 months, and she still has some scarring left. It's not nice. So they're basically claiming that Tim Hortons was negligent because they either gave them a cup that was defective in some way, or that the tea was superheated to a point where it shouldn't have been that hot, and they should be liable for that, the damage and the damages to the lady. Tim Hortons has responded to this lawsuit, and in their response they claim that she was not paying attention because she was distracted by her cell phone, which caused the tea to spill over her and caused the burns, meaning that they are not at fault. Okay, those are the basic facts when it comes to this lawsuit. It hasn't really gone forward yet. This has only just been in the news recently, so it may take even potentially a couple years before we even hear anything really happening about this lawsuit. But what is my opinion? Well, I know I was very critical of Tim Hortons in the last video. This time I have to side with Tim Hortons. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever drank a cup of tea? Did you know tea was hot? I actually, because I knew I was filming this, I actually boiled some water for tea and made myself a tea. Black green tea with lemon, if you're interested. But it was very hot, and I had to let it sit so that it's not burning my mouth as I drink it. Now, here's an interesting fact, and a lot of people don't realize this. So, it only takes liquid at a temperature of 155 degrees Fahrenheit or 86 degrees Celsius 1 second on exposed skin to cause third-degree burns. Now, when we're at home and we're brewing our tea in a kettle, the water gets to boiling point, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, depending on which system you use, which is way above that 155 degrees Fahrenheit and 86 degrees Celsius mark for that 1 second to get third-degree burns. So, I mean, it's hot. And it has to be hot. The water has to be hot to brew the tea. Now, I've talked to a couple people I know that either are working for or have worked for Tim Hortons in the past. Now, none of them worked for the Tim Hortons in question that is being sued, but they all said to me, like, one of the most regulated things that they have to regularly check is the temperature for their hot drinks. They're supposed to keep their water for tea at 185 degrees Fahrenheit or 85 degrees Celsius, which is above the temperature that can give you third-degree burns in a second. But tea has to be at that temperature. They actually suggest that temperature. Well, they suggest 80 degrees Celsius temperature. Sorry, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. For green teas, I actually overheated my water for green tea that I'm drinking because I just let it boil and then I let it sit for like a minute just to cool down a bit and then pour it into the tea. But for black teas, it's supposed to be for teas that aren't like green or lighter teas. It's supposed to be just under boiling. And they do suggest that you boil the water and then let it cool down and not just get it to just below. So you have to have that temperature. Like there's no way around it. And every person that I talked to said to me, like, we have to be aware and we have to keep, like, it has to be, we have to know and we have to keep checking it. They check it multiple times. They make sure it's at the proper temperature, because if they do give it higher than what it's supposed to be, lawsuits can happen. So tea has to be hot. It's to me, it's just that simple. If you ever drank tea, you know it's supposed to be hot. You know it is hot. You know that after you pour it, it's gotta cool down for at least a minute or two before you start drinking it, or you're just scalding your mouth. So I think that this probably was an accident, and it was probably caused by the person who got burned, which, you know, I've seen the pictures. Like I said, it's unfortunate that this happened, and I feel very sorry for her that this has happened. But I do think that A, it's likely her fault, and B, even if it wasn't her fault, it's going to be a very hard case for her to win. Now, I generally don't I don't allow my emotions to dictate my beliefs. I have talked about this in other videos in the past. Basically, in my opinion, emotions are, you know, your emotions are constantly changing, and so if you dictate like beliefs based on your emotions, then you're just going to constantly be going back and forth on issues. So I saw her burns. It was horrible. I felt very sorry for her, but that to me is not enough for me to think, oh, she should get money out of it. Now, I do want to say that I am not a lawyer. I was not there to see what happened. I don't know what happened, but and these are just my opinions. So you can take them with a grain of salt. Don't worry about it. But, however, my opinions are backed by the fact that most people, when they sue over this type of thing, they very rarely win anymore. Basically, for her to win, she either has to prove that the cup was defective or the tea was superheated, which is the term they used, to a point that it actually destroyed the cup in some way that and I think that's going to be very, very hard for her to do. Now, who knows, maybe there's a giant hole in the cup and we just haven't seen that evidence yet. I mean, there is a possibility. It's possible that the cup was defective. It's possible, again, that the tea was quote-unquote superheated, but both are very, very unlikely. And if it turns out that either of those things is true, yes, I believe that Tim Hortons is liable for some amount of money for damages. But I don't think those are very likely. I think it's more likely that as she was adding the milk to her tea, it spilled a little bit. Maybe she squeezed the cup too a little too hard, and it kind of closed in on itself. I forget the words that they used specifically. Collapsed in on itself. That's right. And I think that's what actually caused it. I mean, Tim Hortons is claiming that she was on her cell phone and that distraction caused it. And if Tim Hortons can prove that, by the way, her whole lawsuit goes out the window. It goes up in smoke. And I do want to add here that ever since McDonald's was sued in the famous 1994 case over a hot coffee incident, the fast food industries, both here in Canada and the U.S., have been very careful to make sure incidents like this are rare. The temperature of their hot drinks is one of their most regulated things that they look after. And even though these cases happen every now and again, Tim Hortons was recently again sued over the temperature of their hot drinks. Fast food chains rarely lose these cases anymore because they do regulate the temperature of their drinks, and they can prove that they're regulated, and they can show that on this day the average temperature for my hot drinks was this, which is well within what we can give people for in terms of hot drinks. So again, I feel very sorry for this lady. I'm sorry that this happened to her. However, that does not mean, in my opinion, that she's entitled to anything, unless, of course, like I say, there is some sort of evidence that suggests that the cup was a defective cup, or that the tea was super, super hot. Shadow, why are you going into my closet? My cat just in the corner of the video, as you may have seen there. He decided he's going to go into my closet for no reason. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, I have to. I'll say this: I am on the side of Tim Hortons in this case. At first, when I first heard about this, now I hadn't seen the images of the injury. I just thought this was someone trying to get a quick payday. I don't necessarily think that is the case anymore, because she was severely injured. Like, you can see it if you Google Tim Hortons hot tea lawsuit. You can see those injuries yourself. They are a little graphic, just so you're aware. But I doubt very highly that she can prove that the cup was defective, and I doubt very highly she can prove that the tea was above the temperature that it's supposed to be. So it is what it is. And I don't think she has a case. I really don't, personally. But again, I'm not a lawyer. That's just my opinion. You may have a different one, and that's totally cool. I will probably not see you anymore this week, but until I see you again, have a good one. Bye-bye.